Now. Starting stream. And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to another live stream on the Angry Streams channel. I am joined here today by my good friend, Nick, the Fat Electrician.
Hello.
Yay!
Hello.
Right. Editing some shit on, and we are talking, folks. Yep, fat and angry. That's exactly right. It's fat and angry on a Sunday. If you skip church, well, you're getting it now.
Oh boy.
We're taking people to church.
Boy.
We're going to start talking about things. I'm all zooted up. I've got a white monster, and
Dear Lord, you've got the biggest white monster on the planet.
that's why I'm streaming today. I came from work, and then I was like, I've got so much energy. I'm only halfway through it. And while I was at work doing some shady shenanigans, driving around, looking, taking photos of a pedophile's car and where he lives, which at the moment is in a garage. He got kicked out of the house and he's living in the garage, which is phenomenal. He's going to be living in jail soon.
He should be living in a wood chipper.
He should just not be living. But you know, it is kind of nice that he is alive and that we get to watch. I wish that we could have like a Running Man. You know the movie Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
I wish that we could have that with pedophiles, you know, but instead of running for freedom and like that paid for like lifestyle on a beach somewhere, that ideal life, you know, if you make it through to the end of their little Running Man maze, then it would just end with normal prison.
Counter offer. What if me and you relaunch To Catch a Predator? The two of us.
I mean, there's a 2025 Running Man. I don't think it's the same thing. I think it's a completely different thing. Either way, Alex Rosen does that already. I think that's the name. The guy on Twitter that says the N-word, the big white guy that's a redhead.
I feel like me and you could do it better. I don't know who you're talking about, but
He does it pretty good. He does it pretty good.
I would really like to replace Chris Hansen. We could get JD Delay involved. It'd be perfect.
JD Delay is an intimidating man. You know, that beard, all those tattoos, his life,
no shirt on,
in prison, just stand there. We're like, hey, dude, hey, you need to sit down. We got to talk to you. You know, like
it'd be perfect.
It'd be intense.
We should do it.
It's not hard. All you have to do is go on, like, start any dating dude. It's easy. I don't want to say it's too easy. You know what I kind of want to do? I brought this up to like my just my unit and just like passing, and I was like, you know, it's not like we don't have enough to do, because we definitely have enough to do. In fact, I'm currently working a insane gang rape and human trafficking case.
Oh, like, you can't say that word.
It's YouTube. I don't care. I'm always going to be demonetized. Whatever. I'll have to say grape or something. I usually don't give a shit. It's guys like Truck Senpai who are always in the chat that like throw me money, which he did. He just threw me $20 and I appreciate him.
Oh, nice.
It's like the super chats are the only thing that actually I get monetized on this. The videos never are. Like I told you, the previous one when I was logging into this today, the one on in mid to late January that I did, it only has 1,000 views because only the people that watched the live stream saw it. It was taken down immediately. It was like red marked, demonetized, not seen anywhere. But anywho, going back to the police thing, I told my group, the working side that I'm on, I was like, I think we could probably get a photo of like an obvious 12-year-old girl or boy and put it on any dating site and be like, hey, just, you know, I just want to meet some friends, and then just get some creeps in the DMs, get all the DMs, and then like record them there, show up with a body cam and be like, hey, Jeremy, my name is Detective High. you were talking to a 12-year-old boy for sexual relations. That was me. Can't do that.
Somebody in the chat says we should get JD to lay a custom wood chipper, which it would be pretty awesome if we could surprise him with an episode of Pimp My Wood Chipper.
Pimp.
Maybe that could be like a Pepper Box exclusive. Get him some spinning rims on it.
Do you remember when he came on the Unsub podcast with you guys, and I got to talk to him for a little bit, and he's like good friends with the dude that went to prison because he just like looked at the sex offender registry and just went to different homes and beat people with hammers.
Oh yeah, the Alaskan Avenger.
Alaskan Avenger, that's right.
Yeah,
amazing.
He's like trying to help rehabilitate him and get his life started back up when he gets out. If he's close to getting out, if he's not already.
He's out now.
Okay,
he got out a couple months ago, and we got to get him on Unsub, dude. Right? Him and JD would be hysterical.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
It would be a good time. It would be a good time. But
it's like the Fallout thing. Is it illegal? Yes. Did everybody like it?
Yes.
Yes.
I forget what jury nullification. That's all you need. You just got to go up there and you just say jury nullification, which means the jury says, "Hey, yes, you broke the law, but we know like you're guilty. We believe that you're guilty.
We're giving you a pass,
but we don't want you to do anything because we kind of understand, you know." And like a less whatchamacallit, like a less severe instance of that would be like a DWI. Like, let's say you leave a bar, your new friends have been drinking, your friend's about to get jumped and stabbed by a bunch of bikers. They're already like tearing, at you guys and like pulling out a knife and slashing at you, and you jump in your car and you drive. You get pulled over by the cops, and you're like, this happened. Jury nullification could get rid of that. That's a very low level one.
Yeah.
But there's also one where I forget what it's called. There's a defense where exact same scenario. It's called like the lesser of two evils. I forget what the actual term is, but it's basically what the gist is hey, gotcha. I had a choice of either let my friend and myself potentially be horribly assaulted and injured, or I had to drive drunk, and so I drive drunk. But then that's all up to the defense. That's not up to the jury. The defense then has to prove, like the prosecution doesn't do shit anymore. The defense then has to do all the work and prove that he had to do this. Otherwise, the circumstances the other way were just no bueno.
Right. So, went to the Pentagon.
Yeah. Oh, we both have government stories today.
Oh boy. Okay. What do you got?
You know what I've got. I told you. I'll tell. Well, I got my little conversation with Doge DOD in the DMs. But you talk about the Pentagon. Good. I saw your guys' photos cracking open White Claws, and I thought it was funny because you guys were like, or somebody posted on there, the first time that White Claws have been cracked open in the Pentagon, and I'm like, no, not with military members in there.
Officially.
Well, yes.
We actually have the official memorandum.
There's a memo.
There was a memo that got put through, and the memo is like, these 4 individuals have authorization to drink X amount of alcoholic beverages in these designated areas. And it was like signed off by, I'm not going to say who, but a very, very high ranking individual.
No shit.
So like we have the official memo that we are officially the first people to drink White Claws in the Pentagon. So naturally, as soon as we cracked them at the beginning of the episode, I chugged mine because I wanted to be the first one to actually finish a White Claw in the Pentagon. So pretty fantastic.
The first one to fully consume an alcoholic beverage, fully authorized by, is it our friend the general or your friend the general?
No, different.
Different? Okay. Oh, different.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He's a secretary of sorts. Anyways. So I also wore this exact shirt to the Pentagon. Let me tell you.
Of course.
You get some great looks.
I heard that somebody was like, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? And then they were quickly told, shut up. It's his thing. Relax.
No, we were getting all kinds of dirty looks. Like I'm catching side eye from like colonels, lieutenant colonels, 1, 2-star generals, and then they look who I'm being escorted by through the Pentagon, and they just decide not to say anything. It was fantastic. It was a good time.
That hasn't come out yet, has it? It's in
No.
its editing phase.
No. And then we went, all 4 of us went out to Sergeant Major Weimer's office, Command Sergeant Major of the Army.
No shit.
We went into his office and he wasn't there, and we took a family portrait at his desk. That's what that picture is in those things, is us doing that family portrait at his desk, and you can just see his name plaque on his desk.
You're the epitome of the E4 Mafia, dude.
I know, it's me, Eli, and Cody, all 4 E4 members.
Yeah, because Cody was an
trolling
E4.
The Sergeant Major of the Army.
Cody was an E4. Eli made E5 though, didn't he?
No, he turned down promotion twice. He made it out as a corporal. He turned down promotion twice and got out as an E4.
I'm the only NC. Well, technically he's an NCO, but holy shit.
I don't think he was corporal.
You think he was a specialist?
I think he was specialist.
So the E4 Mafia did the most E4 Mafia thing ever. Got a memorandum authorizing them to drink alcohol in the Pentagon. And then went to the Command Sergeant Major's office. Not only the Command Sergeant Major, the Command Sergeant Major of the Army's office. He wasn't there, so you photobombed him at his desk.
Yes. Correct.
Did you send him a text message that said you shouldn't leave your office unsecured, Sergeant Major?
Yes, we did.
I would have left a note. I would have left a fucking note.
He loved it.
Did he?
Dude, the new Command Sergeant Major of the Army and the Joint Chief and their entire staff is awesome. They are so cool. It's fantastic.
No shit.
It's way better than the Command Sergeant Major we had when I was in, that made me strip down in my underwear and have pictures taken of every one of my tattoos.
Go on.
You don't remember that? Or were you not? Did you guys not have to do that?
I didn't have tattoos. Start this story over again.
When I was in, I want to say it was like 2014. I'd been in for a couple of years, and we got a new Command Sergeant Major of the Army, and he did not like tattoos. And he basically said, you're not allowed to get any more tattoos, period, regardless of where they were. Like, not like no neck, no hands, visible in uniform, like no more tattoos, period. And he made everybody in the Army that had tattoos go strip down and have pictures taken of all their tattoos. And those are cataloged somewhere, who knows where. And that way, if you got more tattoos, the Army was going to be able to like punish you for violating protocol because they cataloged all your tattoos, and if you had any new ones, you would get in trouble. It was like a whole thing. Where, like, when I was in Guard, we had to take an entire day to have every dude go through, be inspected in basically his underwear, and get pictures taken of all of his tattoos.
Really?
Their tattoos. His, hers, whatever. Yeah.
I don't remember this. I was in 2014, and I think I had tattoos by then. I was in the reserves. Well, you were in the Guard. Was it National Guard Bureau, or was it?
No, it was Army. It was straight from the Command Sergeant Major of the Army, if I remember correctly.
Was it Preston? That doesn't make any sense.
I think it was daily.
Hold on. CSA 2014. Oh, that's definitely not it. 2014. Oh my God. I just got to look up Command Sergeant Major of the Army. Oh, it's still on images. I got to go to Wikipedia. No, I think that's the new one. It's looking like it's daily. Yeah. Sergeant Major of the Army. Currently Weimer. Where is the list?
USArmy.com 2014. U.S. Army cracks down on tattoo policies. Those who are currently in and have no prior negative actions against them, I believe, should be grandfathered in for such things as tattoos.
So Chandler, he was after Preston. I don't really remember him.
That's it.
Yeah, so
that's who it was.
Preston was cool. He was in with when whatchamacallit, for 9/11, the Afghanistan invasion of Iraq. With Casey. I have Casey's coin when he was the vice chief of staff. I met him in basic training, believe it or not. and then it was Chandler. What a fucking chode. 2011 to 2015. He 3 years and almost 4 years. It's just a couple months short. And he said, you can't get any more tattoos. He came.
Yeah, we had to go through, have pictures taken of all of our tattoos. We were told we can't get any more.
That's the lamest shit ever.
Yep.
Like, that's the beginning. That's in that moment. Because I remember that with the Marine Corps. Like, the Marine Corps all of a sudden was like, no more shit. Also, but before then, before he came in, before 2014, it was like 2010. You could have neck tattoos. They were allowing people with like the neck tattoos, which I thought was a little much. I was like, oh shit, man. Like, neck tattoos, hand tattoos are one thing. You know, whatever. You're not really looking at the hands, but fucking in your class A's, you got some fucking big fucking cock on your neck. Like,
big pair of lips or something. Yeah.
Always lips, dude. Always red lips with Jasmine's name in cursive. Some fucking stupid shit, dude. The amount of E4s I saw with that. Always tall, white, skinny guys.
Every time.
But like in the middle, 2011. So after the fucking surge, you're like, you know what we should do? We should get rid of all the war fighters that have extra tattoos. Because we don't want those guys. Those guys that probably got more tattoos, you know, correlation with more combat, I would assume. We don't want those guys. The dumbest shit ever. Yeah, it was Preston, who was fucking awesome. Chandler, Daly, who was great. And then Grinston and now Weimer.
Dude, Weimer's so cool.
Is he?
Oh, dude, he's awesome.
He wasn't an SF guy, right? He was in a Ranger bat?
No, he's the first command sergeant major to be a Delta guy.
Oh, he's a Delta dude.
Yeah.
Why would he ever be command sergeant major of the Army?
They're trying to make it awesome again.
Dude, you know what? You know what? You know what?
Just saying. I mean, that's what, when they brought me in for that meeting and they're like, what do we need to do to, you know, get more recruiting and stuff? And I was like, for the love of God, stop with these commercials where you're like, I went to the Army for 4 years and then they paid for me to go to dental school and now I'm a dental hygienist. Like, quit. Stop it.
Dude.
Like, promote all the cool stuff. You know what I mean? Like, young 16-year-old people aren't looking to their lifelong plan of becoming a dental hygienist. Like, they want to jump out of planes and do cool shit, you know?
Right.
Promote that.
Not going to lie, though, we can still use more
part of something bigger than
cooks.
yourself. Go on an adventure before you start all the boring, monotonous shit in life.
So now that you've said that, have you seen... listen, I don't think it's not bad, but it's kind of cringy. Have you seen the new thing that they posted?
Go
to Twitter. Go to Twitter. I'll play it on here. God. Go to look up the U.S. Army page. It's kind of cringy. So it's the video that says Medal of Honor recipient first class Alan C. Cash. I'm gonna play it on here while you watch it.
Bradley was disabled. Heroes of the Army.
Oh, I know this guy. This guy's a
Alvin
badass.
Cash, the definition of a hero. October 17, 2005, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Cash was
Just
part of
listen
a squad
to how it
conducting
is,
a
though.
nighttime patrol when their Bradley was disabled by an improvised explosive device. Vehicles in flames, chaos everywhere. But Cash, he's not panicking. His uniform covered in fuel. The fire literally on him. But did that stop Cash? No. He dives back into the inferno 6 times.
It's the right idea. It's the wrong
times, pulling his
execution.
Thank you.
arms to
And
safety,
I'm not
saving
trying to
everyone he could, even
I'm
while
not trying to
suffering
toot any
second-
horns, but in that whole meeting, my entire pitch was, you guys got to start glorifying war heroes again.
So
I'm glad they listened to me.
I'm with you. I was on the shitter this morning when I saw it, and I was like, okay, great idea, poor execution, love where they're going, stumbling while getting there. I didn't want to put anything up there because I didn't want to shit on it because it's one of the better things that they've put up there for a while. I took pity on the Army and then decided not to fucking poke at it and be like, all right, because at least they're going in the right direction. But it seems super cheesy the way that it comes off.
Oh, for sure. But at least it's going, and like I said, I'm just happy it's going in the right direction. It's better than Emma and her 2 moms.
I talked to Emma. and her 2 moms, by the way. They're very nice
Huh,
people.
what?
Yeah, you didn't know this?
No.
Yeah, I have a good relationship. I gave her 2 moms my shirts. We're friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Emma was I talked to Emma. I don't want to blow up her spot. I think she's a sergeant now. Emma was chosen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame her at all.
Oh,
like,
no.
she was just picked for whatever and like, utilized. Like that's absolutely nothing on her. I just feel like it was not the marketing play that should have been played.
Yeah, and I'll agree. And she agreed too. She was like, hey, listen, they asked me to do it. I told them my story, and then they took my story and they kind of put it out there and made it what it was. And I was like, that's cool. Because I reached out to her. Did I reach out to her? Something happened. I was making the video on the really poor commercials for the Army, the cartoon ones, the like choose your warrior or whatever it is. They were bad. There was like one of them that was good and the rest of them were trash. And so I like put the feelers out there and I was like, hey, I'm going to be doing this video, blah, blah, blah. And she got a hold of me and she's like, hey, I'm Emma. I'm the girl 2 moms. And I was like, holy shit, Emma, tell me what happened. I just want to let you know that I'm not poking fun at you and your family. I'm poking fun at how cringy they made your story and just how it's not focused on being the Army. It's focused on the individual.
Being an individual.
Correct. Yeah. Right. And she was on board. She's like, I get it. She took the joke well. She's like, I thought it was funny. My mom saw it. They thought it was great. And I was like, your mom thought it was great? She's like, yeah. I was like, that's super sweet. That's very nice. Her moms sent her a video and they were like, hi, Angry Cops. We liked your video. Thanks for sticking up for our family. And I was like, that's so cute. And so I sent Emma a message like in response. And I was like, what are your mom's shirt sizes and where do they live? And so I sent them like a couple Angry Cops shirts. And then they sent me back another video with them wearing the shirts. They're like, thank you so much for the shirts.
That's awesome.
They're adorable. Oh, they're super nice.
No, dude, I'm excited they actually posted that though. Cause like that was my big pitch. Is like, you guys quit promoting like real war heroes. Like Vietnam was the last time they kind of did it. But I mean, those were the biggest, outreach programs they ever had was bringing war heroes back home in World War II and doing war bond drives. You know what I mean? It's like, you have all these great heroes from GWAT and you're not making them the celebrity status that they could be. You know what I mean? Like show these guys off, honor them, do the whole bit. So that's kind of what I think they're going for there. So I'm glad they listened at least.
The best recruiting commercial that the Army has had in the past like 10 plus years is David Bellavia's Medal of Honor recipient speech.
Oh yeah.
Just
when he's like, when it's him speaking over the intro to Metro Boomin, and then the bass drops and it's just a hard cut of the U.S. naval fleet coming in and fucking F-18s taking off and shit.
Just like, I can promise you, if you start a fight with the United States, someone else will raise your sons and daughters. I'm like, fuck, you're fucking not wrong.
I like it.
Do you hear his story? His story's insane. He's they're like the house they're getting shot at and rockets and shit from this house. They're like, fuck it, we got to clear the house. They go into the house. They're trapped in a room. They're split because there's like a hallway in between these 2 rooms. And there's like a bunker set up at the end of the hallway. And the guys are just shooting. And he said, fuck it. I expected to die. I grabbed my saw gunner saw and just walked down the hallway and just went and emptied the drum. And then he's like shooting people, gets on the roof, stabs a guy to death with his knife because they're fucking wrestling. And I think he was out at that point, or like his magazine went dry. And then after he stabbed some guy to death, I think he shot somebody else in the house. He had like 5 kills. He killed everybody in that house.
And cleared it by himself.
Yeah.
See?
That's not fucking motivating. I don't know what is.
And now he's
what's that?
The Air Force had a pretty good commercial a couple years ago.
Did they? What was theirs?
It was just like the ground, like it was like a camera view of underneath a plane speeding over the ocean, and it just says the Earth is 70% water, and then it starts flying over land, and 30% land. The sky is 100% ours, and it's like third-person view of an F-22 doing a flying leaf, fucking stunt, and then just U.S. Air Force the end.
Is
It
it
was awesome.
is it the title? I don't know if you know the title. Is it This Is It from a year ago?
No, type in U.S. Air Force. The sky is ours.
Watching it right now. So yeah,
The Earth is 70% water.
the Earth. A-10s
And 30% land.
and 30% land.
But the entire sky
The entire sky
belongs to us.
belongs to us. That's fun. That's good. That's
Good
good.
commercial. Perfect.
2.5 million views from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Dude, if you don't know what's working, it's got 200. Let me turn down the volume a little bit while it's doing the cool stunts. It's got the Air Force's 212,000 subscribers to its channel, and its video got 2.5 million views.
Right.
That is 100+% of your following, which is insane numbers.
Yep.
Or 1,000. That's 1,000. Because 100% would be
1,000%.
that's
Yeah, 1,000%
1,000%.
viewership. Not only that, you're not paying to have that run on TV. You're getting paid because somebody has to watch an ad to watch your other ad because your ad is that awesome. Like,
right. That's impressive. That's a great thing. Oh my God. Speaking of military commercials, recruiting, and things like that. So, you know, for those of you that don't know, Nick and I have a podcast, which we share with Ethan, Habitual Line Crosser, and Eli. And we talked about my original MOS in the Army, Civil Affairs, the other day. And I gave you like a brief description. I was like, you know, we assist, you know, the local populace in, oh my gosh, or territory that we happen to be in, whoever we're assisting. And we're supposed to be subject matter experts on the area and how like things affect the local populace. And we try to make the local populace work with their government, the U.S. occupied territory, and the United States government. And which is true, right? And then just the other day, I was listening to, I forget the guy's name. It's Matt something or other on Rogan. And I realized a much easier way for me to explain what Civil Affairs does now is we are the DOD's version of USAID. And I'm serious. Like that is our job. Our job is to
walking around with a duffel bag full of money.
Yeah, that's what we do. We bribe people. We know the local populace. We work with local media and psychological operations.
Your goat caught some shrapnel. Here's 10 times the annual income of someone in your country.
Right?
Sorry.
Yeah. Like I was like, oh my God, that's right. We are the USAID of DOD. This USAID is just run by the State Department, but not really. They're their own entity thing that's kind of gotten big. Anywho, yeah. So that I remembered, I was like, oh my God, I got to tell that next time. Now that everybody knows what USAID does, that's what Civil Affairs and PSYOPs are. That's why we're sister units for DOD, for the United States Army.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
Speaking of DOD, I slid into the DMs of Doge DOD on Twitter, and we had a conversation. So thanks to, you know, people reposting the video and shit that I did on the Army not utilizing the amount of funds that it has correctly for troops and food, the food purchases. They messaged me. They were like, what's going on with this one photo and some sort of website that posts the it's like Yelp for
Hots and Cots.
Hots and Cots. I explained they asked me like, where did you get the story? What's up with the D rating and sanitation? And I'm like, here's this app. Talk to them. They're totally transparent. It's Yelp, but it's for the military. Shows everybody, you know, the complaints on what post at what dining facility or barracks. They were like, cool, that's awesome, thank you. And then they were like, what's up with the food situation? And I was like, I'm going to give you some bullet points so that way I don't bore you. Here's my phone number in case you want to have somebody reach out to me and I can go into a more in-depth conversation. I go, there's a pot of money that is allocated for food, and then there's the amount of money that they used for food. And I go, they haven't used half of the money for food on food, and yet there's still food shortages and other things that are, like there's a lack of quality and a lack of quantity when it comes to food. And, this money is just used. Like, why don't these people just take it in their paycheck all the time? Right? I'm like, it's there. It's earmarked for it, but they're not using it. And I go, it's very frustrating. My end bullet point was, it's extremely frustrating and infuriating, especially for people like me, when I see people not getting the quality and the quantity that they need, and there's money left in the coffers for that specific thing. You should be expending enough money so then there isn't a complaint, not saving money so that all you're getting are complaints. Like, it's already earmarked for it. Spend it.
Right.
You got $5. If you only have to use $4, fine, fuck it. Then don't waste the money. That's cool. But you need to spend enough so that you're not getting complaints. You need to spend enough so that you're properly supplying these dining facilities and the troops they're in with food. And I also made another bullet point thing that was like, troops are choosing not to go to the DFAC because of the lack of consistency, quality, and supply of food. So they were like, quote unquote, they were like, yeah, this is unacceptable. We're looking into it. Thank you. And I was like,
Good.
Yeah, felt good. It felt good. It was nice. It was nice to it's nice to bitch about something that I care about, and then have, even if they don't do shit, which I doubt they won't do anything. It's nice to have somebody just acknowledge, hey, I see that thing and that's fucked up. I agree with you. There should be a fix there. Because I can only do one thing. I can only scream into the internet. Like,
Right.
I can message my congressman and I can scream into the internet. Like, somebody else has to take this further. So hopefully that's happening. It looks like that's
Good.
happening.
No, it's not. I feel like they're listening to social media a lot more than ever. So even both like Pentagon, like bureaucratic side, military side, and like current administration is taking social media more serious than anybody ever has. So
Why do you think that is?
why?
Yeah.
Oh, I think the current president has a huge distrust for mainstream media, and I think that social media is a big part of, during that presidential election, he did very, very little mainstream media interviews and anything, and instead opted to go on podcasts and take to social media. And I think that's a big part of what won in the election. So I think he sees the power there, and I think he kind of sees legacy media is dying a little bit, and this is where the new thing is. I mean,
I
that's why
agree.
they opened up the slots in the press room. That's why, when Pam Bondi came out and said that she didn't want, she wanted somebody with extensive law enforcement background to be the ATF director, and then, Second Amendment advocates on Twitter and everywhere else went absolutely nuts. That kind of faded away, and now they're back to like, oh, maybe it doesn't need to be an extensive law enforcement person guiding the ATF.
Well, wouldn't you say that Cash, because didn't they give it to Cash Patel?
Well, right, but here's the thing with Kash Patel, he doesn't get any more money for being the ATF director and the FBI director, and if you're going to hire a guy to do 2 full-time jobs, either you think he's a superhero or you have the intention of one of those jobs not really being a full-time job. If I had to bet money,
Yeah.
I would say they're going to give it to Kash Patel for however long, just because he already passed his congressional hearing, and he's going to be the director, and he gets to appoint his deputy director. And then if he's too busy being the director of the FBI, the deputy director gets to basically run it, so he can appoint whoever to run the ATF under him without having to go through a congressional approval
That
like
makes
he
sense.
did. So I think they're just kind of pseudo backdooring in somebody else that they think may have a rough congressional hearing.
I thought it was more of a potential absorption of why is the ATF, why would, if nobody's looking into alcohol, fucking barely, right? What do we, like state liquor authority does more in alcohol than the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Nobody gives a shit about tobacco other than states who look for tax stamps because they want their taxes on tobacco than the tobacco and ATF. The only thing that the ATF is really focused on primarily is firearms, right? And if you're primarily focused on firearms, what the fuck is everybody else in law enforcement doing, right? Because you know the FBI is looking at firearms, they're looking at gangs, they're looking at so-and-so, and firearms and drugs are always a potential part of it, right?
The ATF was literally founded just to be a tax collection agency. That's all it was ever meant to be. It was never designed to be an enforcement arm.
Yeah, but everybody wants their own enforcement arm because they want, which, as
dude,
this is gonna, I'm gonna step on some toes. What's that?
It's insane.
Well,
every bureaucratic
post
anything
office
has their own the post office, which the post office I get, they're scanning packages for bombs, like they're doing something important. But you want to get to like the crazy stuff that like, why do you guys have a TAC team?
The FDA,
the Department of Education has a TAC team
for school shootings. I haven't seen them at one.
No, for like investigating and raiding parents that aren't sending their kids to public school and aren't doing homeschool appropriately.
Well, I would love to know what the Department of Education is actually utilizing SWAT for, or their own tactical team.
The Department of Agriculture.
I mean, if you're growing a lot of weed in California, then
the Department of Nuclear Energy, which again, I get because they're defending nuclear fucking reactors. And I've seen they like exclusively hire like tier 1 operators that have gotten out, and those guys are super legit, which is good. So I get that one, but I had a list. I used to have it up on my whiteboard because I was going to do a video on it. But I mean, it was like 22 government entities that you would not suspect had a tactical response team that did. It was just like, we've got all these war veterans that are coming out of GWAT, might as well hire them and have our own little army.
It was even before that, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm sure. But I mean, I was pulling up like, when I was looking into it, I was pulling up like government contracts, and it was like the Department of Agriculture had a contract out for like 87 MP5s and 20,000 rounds of 9mm ammunition. Just like crazy shit you would never expect. Like, why is the Department of Agriculture rocking sub guns?
The CDC has a TAC team, somebody says.
Yep.
The Center for Disease Control, because microbes be packing.
Oh God.
What?
Oh, sorry. I just started playing an ad on accident.
Oh. What was it? I was gonna say before. I was like, I understand why the ATF, like any federal agency that has to do with like law enforcement and like criminal aspects, ATF, FBI, DEA, maybe not so much the Department of Agriculture, but like I understand why they want their own tactical team, because it's a pain in the ass to be like, hey, we need to kill these doors, and there's a potential, and it's a large criminal activity going on here, which usually means weapons. We don't want to be here with our pea shooters, and we also don't want to go rely on another department's shit, because that's going to take time and whatever. It's easier if you just go in-house to do that stuff. Go ahead.
Here we go. Government agencies that you wouldn't expect to have tactical teams that do. The National Institute of Health, the Department of Agriculture, the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA.
Yeah.
The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, which I kind of get.
What if aliens land? You got to hurry up and eliminate the threat.
True. The VA has a tactical team, apparently.
Well, yeah, if you get somebody that goes into the VA looking for some help and they PTSD out, you need to have some quick response there.
U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Amtrak Special Police Unit, the Department of Education, the Federal Reserve, the Social Security Administration, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, which I'm assuming is the U.S. Mint, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, if you're doing like
U.S. Postal Service, again, makes sense.
Counterfeit.
Department of Health and Human Services, the Government Accountability Office, and yeah. My favorite part about like research, I never made this video, but like during the research, one of the articles that popped up was from like five to 10 years ago, and Rand Paul had like given a speech about how it's ridiculous that all these government agencies have their own private tactical police force. And in his speech, he said that they had their own SWAT teams. And the article said like something along the lines of Rand Paul lies about government agencies having SWAT teams. And then the rationale in the article was SWAT teams stands for
Special weapons
whatever the
and
fuck,
tactics.
special weapons and tactical or whatever. And they're like, technically, there's only one entity that has a SWAT team. All of these other agencies have tactical teams. And it was like, that's your debunking Rand Paul. Like, it's the same fucking thing, just with a slightly different acronym. Is like, you guys wonder why nobody respects journalists anymore.
And I see that a lot in like current articles, especially ones that I read when it comes to like military shit. And you can tell that it's like somebody that might have been in the military or military adjacent, but like for a short period of time, because they'll say things like that. You'd be like, well, actually, the acronym is 2 different words. You're like, it's the same thing in motion. They're physically the same.
Right.
Like,
So,
your
like,
friend's called Kyle. One's Kyle and one's Kyle. Are they both Kyle? Yes.
Did you see the article from Medium that went viral
For
on
who?
X? Medium, the news outlet or whatever.
No. What's it about? I'm looking it up right now.
There was like this argument about communism, and somebody said that I think it was like Cambodia or somewhere. The communist government they said that they were boiling children alive. And then in the article, they're like, this is absolutely not true. There's no evidence that this government boiled children alive. However, they did commonly practice scalding to death. And it's like, do you know what scalding means? Like, I'm not boiling you. I'm just throwing boiling water on you till you perish. Like, it's the same thing.
Oh my God. Dude, so I'm on their Medium. Everyone has a story to tell. Find yours in Medium, Instagram, that's whatever, LinkedIn. Their pinned comment is from November 30th, 2023. And it says, it's been fun, but we'll now focus our company's social communications on other platforms like Mastodon and Instagram. Please note we will no longer update this account. Looking forward to continuing this conversation. They got off of Twitter after Trump and Elon won. So I'm trying to find. Do you remember when this was? How long ago it was?
I don't know. I just saw the screenshots were getting shared a bunch on X.
Can you? I want to search them. Oh, here we go. I can search them. There's the thing. From Medium, Cambodia.
I believe so. If you type in scalding water, I'm sure that.
Yeah, that's actually a good word too.
Sorry. The article is called "On Boiling Babies: Combating Bourgeoisie and Dogmatic Revisionists. Myths about the Communist Party of Peru."
Boiling
Peru.
Peru.
I've seen a variety of erroneous information and outright lies regarding the Communist Party of Peru.
Dude,
blah 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 blah.
I'm reading Boiling in Peru, and it says the problem. This is an article from them, December 16th, 2017. The problem with baby, it's cold outside, isn't consent. It's slut shaming.
Here, I'll text you this. I found the article I was talking about. I'll text it to you.
Did you just like Google it?
Yeah, I mean, I just Googled Medium boiling babies alive. But yeah, I mean, they straight up say.
I got it. On boiling babies combating bourgeoisie. Oh, I don't want a membership to your bullshit thing. Communist Party of Peru did not, quote, boil children alive. I've seen nothing like this written anywhere. They did apparently. Dude, this is the same sentence. All right. So the first paragraph, I'm just going to read it out loud because it goes to the second paragraph and then it's verbatim. So we can get an idea of these idiots real quick. The beginning starts as, there we go. I've seen a number of leftists on YouTube and other places engaging in the propagation of a variety of erroneous information and outright lies regarding the Communist Party of Peru, also known as the Shining Path. Oh, shit. I've heard of the Shining Path. The party itself never called itself this, including that they indiscriminately butchered indigenous people for no apparent reason and, quote, boiled babies alive. Again, for no apparent reason. Revolutionaries should be careful to not fall prey to bourgeois sensationalism and reactionary sentiment pushed by the ruling class. It obscures the real lessons that can be gleaned from previous struggles and serves none but the enemy. This is a total communist rag, this fucking thing. So that's the first paragraph. Second paragraph. The Communist Party of Peru did not, quote, boil children alive. I have seen nothing like this written anywhere. They did, apparently, use scalding water as a method of execution, along with stones and machetes. Holy fuck. That's the dumbest. It's in the, dude, it's the second sentence. First sentence, they did not boil it alive. I haven't seen anything like this written anywhere. Third sentence, they did apparently use scalding water as a method of execution. This is the most pro-communist piece of shit media I've ever seen. This is garbage. It's written by a guy named Black Like Mao, and it has the African flag colors, red, black, green, with a white swastika. How absolute. What are the comments? There's 9 comments. This is great. This is great. First comment, 82 claps. So they boiled babies after all. Next one. That they indiscriminately butchered indigenous people for no apparent reason and, quote, boiled babies alive again for no apparent reason. Did you mean these actions would have been justified if the reason was apparent? Oh, my God.
So they didn't boil them alive. They just scalded them to death with boiling water. This is the most unhinged communist take I could possibly imagine. I'm laughing so hard right now.
Yes. They boiled or they didn't boil babies. They just used scalding water to execute people in general, including babies. But that's not the same thing as boiling babies for some reason.
They reiterated the same thing in quotes and then said, so which is it? Are you staggeringly stupid or profoundly evil?
Yes. The answer? Yes. A little bit of both. I never knew that. That's a story in and of itself. Just how absolutely horrible. What editor read that and then went to the second paragraph and said, well, this isn't a contradiction in and of itself.
This is good. There's this communist dude on TikTok, and he did a TikTok where he was like, I'm going to debunk a bunch of people that are, there was a different video where it was like a compilation of people saying why they don't like communism. And he went through and debunked every point. And one of the first points was, I think that communism is bad because Mao killed millions of people during the revolution that disagreed with him. And this guy, dead ass serious, goes, well, yeah, there was a lot of death during the revolutionary period, but right after the revolutionary period, the quality of life for everybody in China skyrocketed. It's like, well, yeah, the breadline just got 40 million motherfuckers shorter. Yeah. Obviously, the quality of everybody else's life went up after you murdered a bunch of people and stole their stuff. Like, what are we talking about?
You know, we were starving, when we had 10 million people. But now that we've slaughtered 4 million people, there's a lot more food to go around, which means that it was ethically sourced. That's
these are
brilliant.
The intellectual arguments that I have to put up with.
I don't understand people that think that way. One of my favorite things, and it's a little, oh geez, I gotta look it up, and I don't want to ruin it. It's from Stalin. It's a Stalin quote.
People are saying, AC, check your connection.
Yeah, it paused, but then it got back together.
Oh, okay.
I get little notifications when it's all jacked up. It'll like slow down and then come back in and hit. That's why there's supposed to be like a 10-second delay.
Oh,
so then if that happens, it doesn't jack it up too much. And apparently if there's refresh the stream, it worked for me. Yeah, you're good to go. That's on my end. That's why I have a 10 or 15 second buffer.
Sorry, what were you saying about Stalin?
I'm looking up the quote because I don't want to. In defense of Marxism, I love it. Da, 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 da. Trying to see. Joseph Stalin. Here we go. Blah blah blah. General strike. I just want the quote. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see. Because he said something. All right, I'm reading the letter to him right now. Oh, this is a long article. Basically, what happened is, information. All right, so this gay gentleman writes to Stalin and says, let's see, Stalin in May 1934, a British Communist Party member, Harry White, wrote to Stalin, in which White posed the question, can a homosexual be considered someone worthy of membership in the Communist Party? White at the time was a homosexual and was working in Moscow with the Moscow Daily News. And so he writes this to Stalin, and there it is. This man is not only an idiot, he's a degenerate. Like Stalin's just like, and then like that goes in part with all communist revolutions. The second that they have a communist revolution, usually the head guy in charge and like a select few that he's got around him look at everybody that like did the violent acts to make the revolution go, and then they lop them off, and they're like, done. They're all useful idiots. They're just like, hey man, we really appreciate you bringing on X community, whatever it is, gay, Hispanic, fill in the blank, Greek, Lithuanian, Catholic, Protestant, whatever, atheist. They look at these groups and go, awesome, you made the revolution. This is great. Now I'm in power. Now I can actually do what I want to do. I'm going to lop off the heads of all these people that got me here and the ones that were extremely violent because I don't want an uprising against me. And now I'm going to institute my own form of socialism, and I'm going to do it right this time.
Works every time.
Like a
We just got to try it one more time, Rich.
You know what?
This time we'll get it right.
I like where your head's at. Where do you want to start?
I don't know.
You want to start small? You want to just do New York City?
I can't wait for the communist utopia. Want to know what my job's going to be?
Trash man? You can be a trash collector?
Guerrilla fighter. 100%.
Guerrilla fighter? Like you're going to fight gorillas bare hand for entertainment?
I want to do a skit where we throw gender reveal parties for little communists.
Yeah.
And every time the gender's just coal miner.
His gender is laborer. His gender is laborer. His gender is laborer. His gender is doctor, and it's a kid that's got a dent in his head. I'd be good at doctoring. Yes, the Communist Party needs you as a doctor, young man. I could do it.
That short from Kind of Consensual where I told you about Marcus McDelda, that P-51 pilot that got shot down and like they tortured him and he lied his ass off.
He's like, yeah, America positives and negatives
or whatever.
Yeah, we've got hundreds of those nukes.
Dude, somebody called me out saying that I was lying and just making stuff up. So I just posted a source, and then he's like, that's just one article. So I posted 12 more sources. And then he's like, well, that's just made up Western propaganda, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, bro, I'm citing like the notes from the internal meetings of the War Council of Japan. Like this was brought up, but like inevitably, whenever this topic gets brought up, there's communists that come in the comment section and they're like, wow, this guy's an idiot. If he knew anything, he would know that Japan didn't surrender because of the nuclear bombs. They surrendered because Russia invaded Manchuria. And it's like the most brain dead talking point on the fucking planet. It's like, oh my God. Oh, Russia invaded northeastern China, 1,000 miles away from Japan with the Japanese Sea in between them. Ask me how the Russian army would get across the Japanese Sea. They fucking wouldn't.
With
because
zero
they didn't have
boats.
any boats. The only boats they had were from Operation Hula, which was a U.S. operation to give them amphibious landing shit, and they used some of them, and it was catastrophic because they had no military experience launching amphibious landings. Like, the entire point is insane. And then I always bring up, Hirohito, in his speech to the Japanese people, clearly said, "We're surrendering because of," and I quote, "a new and most cruel bomb." And they're like, well, yeah, but he actually gave two speeches. He gave one speech to the military and one speech to the civilians. And in the military speech, he said it was because of the Russian military. It's like, no. The Japanese soldiers in Manchuria and all the other Japanese occupied territories got the same radio transmission that the Japanese civilians did. Hirohito had a meeting with the top 19 generals of the military where he explained in depth all of the reasons that you couldn't win the war. And in listing all of the reasons, he cited both the nuclear bomb and the Soviet invasion and the US embargo and the US fucking Navy surrounding them and all the reasons together. And they're like, well, that clearly means that they only surrendered because of the Red Army getting involved. And it's like, the Red Army, they attacked in, I want to say, August. And in April, so like, I don't know, 5-6 months prior, the USSR literally had a peace treaty, a non-aggression pact with Japan all through World War II. And in April of 1945, they told them, hey, we're ending this non-aggression pact, which is clearly telling you we're going to go to war. Like, there's no other reason to be like, hey, remember that thing where I said I wasn't going to punch you in the face? That deal's off.
Wait a second.
It's not like Japan
Why would you
didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, they were blindsided. They were shocked that the Russians... No, they weren't. They gave them a 6 months fucking heads up that we're joining the war against you. Like, it's nonsense. I hate communists.
Did the Russians ever attack Japanese troops after they nullified that pact?
In Manchuria. When they invaded Manchuria.
Yeah, but what was the size of the forces involved there? Was it like an overwhelming victory by Russia?
Oh, yeah.
They just let me guess, the Russian strategy was throw bodies at them.
I mean, we've got American trucks and American Lend-Lease, and we've got, people that we don't care about and just walk them in like a fucking meat wall.
Yeah.
Japan will run out of bullets eventually.
Throw all the Serbians on the front line and have our good old boys from the west side stay behind them. They massacred Serbians.
Horrible.
Absolutely
horrible.
What was the group of people in Russia that after the war Stalin was like sending to the gulags and jacking up that he hated? It was like a specific ethnic group.
The Ukrainians, the Kulags.
Was it the
Dekulaganization or whatever the fuck they called it?
That might have been it. Was it? They were Ukrainian.
Yeah. They were like from the Ukraine. They were all the farmers and shit. They were the wealthy farmers. And obviously to a communist, if you own property and the farms and shit,
you're the reason why we're hungry.
Being a shitty person, you're the reason we're hungry. So they went in, either imprisoned them or killed them, and then they turned the farms over to a bunch of people that didn't know how to fucking farm anything. And then surprise, surprise, there was no fucking food, and everybody got to starve to death.
That's right.
And
it was Ukraine.
Sit there and they tell you, well, actually, that's not true. There was just a famine that year. Correct. There was a famine that year. However, it's really weird. No. It was a legit famine that affected the entire geographical area. The problem is with the argument is when you look at like actual starvation deaths, it's weird that it skyrockets right at the USSR border with all the other countries. All the other countries that were under Soviet control, like they had problems, but there was not mass starvation to the point that the USSR had.
I was reading an article about that, and it was Ukraine specifically, and it was a couple other places too, but mainly in Ukraine because they have fertile land for farming. And it was not just that there was a famine because of whatever, right? But there was also like an intention to starve out a significant group of that population as well.
Yeah, no, because Stalin was still, so like a big part of the criticism against Stalin is they were having a famine, but the government controlled everything, and Stalin was still electing to export food because that's how he was getting money. So they didn't have enough food to feed themselves, and he was still coming in being like, no, we're selling this to another country so he could get money.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's impressive.
I mean,
And then we can talk
communism.
about the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact, and they love it when you bring that up.
Their allegiance or their alliance with Germany to go into
Germany?
Poland.
Yeah. And they're like, "What? It wasn't like that. They had to do it for self-defense, blah blah blah." And it's like, "No.
Before the war started,
No.
and they were
If-
trading
if-
for money.
If there's an arsonist and you try to tell all your neighbors like, "Hey, there's an arsonist on the loose. We should stop him." And nobody listens because Russia was trying to get like the UK and America and shit to like fight against Germany, but they're like, "Nah, whatever." Which maybe that's wrong, maybe that's right. But the answer is not to join forces with them and also start helping light houses on fire.
Are you sure?
Positive.
What if those houses are owned by the bourgeoisie? Those
I
rich
hate these
Polacks.
people. I hate these people.
Well, you know, Nick, if I've learned anything, it's that after they took over Poland and killed all those people, there was a lot less people starving.
This is true.
So that makes it valid. I
This is true.
learned that
That's-
from 30
that's-
minutes ago.
That's their legitimate argument. Is they're like, actually, the USSR invaded Poland to save them. And it's like, oh, really? Is that why they had a fucking massacre at Katyn where they murdered a bunch of Polish people? Is that why after Germany and Russia both invaded, took over the land, they threw a fucking military parade together that you can literally look up the pictures of them getting together and having a party celebrating?
Well, it's
because they were enemies?
No, they celebrated because they saved Poland together, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So
Right.
if
right.
Germany is my enemy and Germany is also the enemy of Germany, then Germany can be my friend.
And then the other thing is, it's like, well, it was only for self-defense. It's like, if it was only for self-defense, why did you have a secret protocol that you hid from the rest of the world, agreeing on how you were going to divvy up Poland after
the
you
war.
mutually fucking invaded it? Get out of here. Ah, I love it.
And that still hasn't stopped.
I love debating communists because they only have two paths to go down. They can go down the path of, I have to defend Stalin and Mao, which is impossible, or they have to go down the path of, well, that's not real communism, which is the funniest path to possibly go down ever.
Papa Penguin goes, communism or socialism? Same turd, different rapper. I'd like to see either of them do this. Have enough money to waste on a super chat. One of my favorite memes is there's a well-endowed woman with knockers and she's got her shirt on that says, "My tits couldn't be this big under communism."
It's a science.
It's scientific fact. Can't argue that logic. She's not wrong.
Inside every communist, there are two wolves. One is retarded. The other one's starving.
I was about to say the other one's hungry. Speaking of communists, did you see how in Russia, see how the North Koreans are augmenting Russian military members in the borderlands between Russia and Ukraine in the war?
They're getting addicted to illicit adult material.
Yes,
And
they're-
just refusing to leave their tent.
yes.
Hilarious.
And like the Russians, I've seen videos of the Russians just like sending them out and being like, "Hey, I need you guys to go attack this area. There's Ukrainians there. It's whatever line. Go attack that line, get that trench. Let's do it." They're like, "Okay." And then they walk in the middle of a field. Like, you remember like old the infantry tactics that you learned in basic training? You're like,
Yeah.
wedge formation, man. Well, they're in a wedge formation with like 300 meters of open land. And these drones are just like, zoom, 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 pow. Artillery, thump, 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 done. And then you brought it up in one of your I think your most recent videos. A lot of militaries still, right? In the past, it was almost all of them, except for like America. And now it's still some of them. Even Russia. It's like, if you kill a high-ranking officer or the officer that's in charge, the platoon leader, right?
Bed down and wait for further orders.
And that's exactly what the Koreans did. Because like these stupid communist countries, socialist countries, can't trust everybody knowing the information because they know that somebody's going to be like, "Fuck, I need to get out of here. I'll trade this information for freedom to get out of this shithole." Somebody's going to do it. So they can only let the officers get the information. And then just like we said, just like you described in your most recent video, these Koreans are like, boom, oh shit, the officer's dead. What do we do? Everybody lay down. Everybody lay down in the middle of this field. And then it's just like, gone.
He's still alive. Last I checked, I've been trying to get a hold of him and I can't get a hold of him. And it's unfortunate. There is
Osama bin Laden?
No, he's somewhere in the ocean, I've been told. Anyways, no, there was a Cuban pilot. I think his name was Ernestes Perez or Ernestes Fernandez. And he flew a Cuban fighter jet to Florida and landed it on a tarmac and then radioed. And they're like, no, you can't land. And he's like, I already did. I want to turn over this plane and live here. And they're like, oh, dope. So they let him live here. And he was trying to get his wife and kids out of Cuba.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do it because they were holding his family because he fucking fled. So.
And he took one of their 15 planes.
Right. So this fucking Chad gets like a nun or somebody from his church to go to Cuba with a letter that gives it to his wife. And the letter tells his wife, have you and the kids on this like country road near the coast on this day at this time. And this dude finds somebody to give him a little fucking puddle jumper in the Florida Keys. Motherfucker flies all the way to Cuba, like 6 feet above the water. So he goes below radar, lands this fucking little puddle jumper onto the road, picks up his wife and kids and flies them back to Florida, gets his whole family out of Cuba.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Still alive today, as last I checked. Like, what an awesome story. I
would do that. Do you remember, I don't know if you talked about it. Have you ever heard the story of the pilot that not once, but twice stole a plane and then landed it next to a bar in like New York City or Chicago to prove that he could do it because he did it? That was an insane story. Not only did he do it once, not only was he like, oh yeah, I used to fly planes in the war, and the guys at the bar were like, bullshit. He was like, fuck you. And he went out and stole a plane and then landed it next to the bar and said, you owe me a beer. Not only once, he did it twice. Because the second time he told the story, he's like, yeah, not only am I a pilot in the World War II, but I also stole a plane one time because this asshole, one guy said I wasn't a fighter pilot. And I was like, fuck you. So I stole a plane and landed next to the bar. And that guy said, fuck you, that's bullshit. He said, really? And did it again. Insanity. Oh, we have another fatty in the comments. Fat Russian. Born and raised Russian, living in the States. First off, F communism. Good call. Rich once said, the Russians are the rednecks of the North, and this is what happens when you let the drunk redneck cousin run. I mean, that's pretty much it. Russians have a saying, and I don't know what it is in Russian. Fat Russian. Type it, if you can, type it in Cyrillic in your language, or, no, I can't read Cyrillic. Type it in English, how it would be like phonetically pronounced. But it's a Russian saying, and it basically means don't be a pussy. And so the Russian like mindset is like, if you say this phrase to them, it's like, don't be a pussy. It's basically like you have to do whatever it is now because you have to prove that you're a tough Russian guy, man, person, dude. Blaze says you should do a grab bag episode of Fat Files where it's just an hour of these kinds of short stories.
Bro, the stories of people escaping from communism is both hilarious and insane. Like, my favorite one is the East Germans and the hot air balloon.
I remember you saying that one. They just like got in a hot air balloon and said, fuck it. And then didn't they leave like people behind?
No, bro, it was two neighboring families.
Yes.
And they started a fake business to get government rations for fabric and secretly like lifted some of the fabric gradually over the course of years until they had enough to sew together a hot air balloon. And then they went and stole a bunch of gas and made a hot air balloon, homemade. And then it was like a mom and dad, and I think 4 or 5 kids between the two families, and flew a hot air balloon over the Berlin Wall to escape communism.
Wouldn't it suck if that day the winds changed and they get like real close to the wall And then all of a sudden, the wind just takes the balloon back into communist-controlled Germany.
Do you understand the insanity of like I'm a dad. Like, you got to protect your kids at all costs. Like, do you know how bad shit has to be for you to go to your neighbor and be like, bro, hear me out. This is so bad. I feel like our best option is to sew together a balloon and then propel it through the sky with a fucking flamethrower while we dangle off a wicker basket beneath it to get out of here while the Russians shoot at us.
Well, you know, they travel the world in 100 days with that, so I guess we can do it. You know what? Somebody typed in the Russian word for it basically means no balls, and it's shmukulka. Shmukulka. Love it. Kate Elizabeth says, wondering what your thoughts are on Aunt Kathy sending the National Guard to man the facilities during the corrections officer strike. Even parole and OSI are working hospital details now. Dude, I think I texted this to you. So there's been new laws for correction facilities going on in New York. And over the past, I would say, like probably like 5 years has been the worst. They keep like maybe even 10. They keep rolling these unsafe, what would you call them? Not statutes, policies. They keep rolling together these unsafe policies that like fucks over corrections officers and then creates more hazardous working conditions for them. One of them is like they've removed people from searching the mail that comes in and from scanning people that come in for visits. So there's like a shit ton of like knives and dope in the prisons now. And they took away like solitary confinement, the SHU, you know, solitary housing units. They're like, oh, you can only put them in the SHU for like 12 hours now. And you can only put them in there for a couple days at a time out of like 60. And
Have you?
so I'm serious. So the corrections officers in New York State, a lot of them, like a significant majority, have gone on strike. And because of that, Governor Hochul has been like, you know what? What's the first thing that you do when cops or corrections officers or other state workers decide that they don't want to work? You activate the National Guard. So she has a whole bunch of National Guardsmen activated to go into these prisons. Like, not even like MPs, right? Just bros, just dudes. Just, hey, man, you're in the National Guard. We're going to activate your artillery unit, and you're going to be working in the prisons now. One of my friends is one of those National Guardsmen. And he's telling me a story. He goes, yeah, man, we went in last week and we're getting briefed by one of the corrections officers, the supervisors that's still there. Like, everybody's on strike. And because he didn't go on strike and he was already working in the prison that day, they've like forced him to stay. They're like, you can't leave. You have to stay here. Because if you leave, then you could go on strike. So we're forcing you to stay here. You can't leave. So they're forcing him to stay. Can't leave. Briefs the incoming National Guard troops. Within minutes of him briefing the National Guard troops, one of the National Guardsmen in it's funny, but it sucks. One of the National Guardsmen in the correction facility in New York gets slashed on the head. And I've got a photo of it. It's like 10 inches long. He cut him from like eyebrow to like the back of his head. Not super deep, but he got fucking slashed with a shiv. And like after 2 corrections facilities after the first like day or so had all the National Guardsmen pull out. They were like, we're not ready for this. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. We don't know what the rules are. We're just here and people are acting like animals because they're fucking in prison and they belong there. So like they're pulling out the National Guard, but they're trying to put them in. It's fucking insanity. And then on top,
me of that.
What's that?
It reminds me of Alcatraz in 46.
Oh yeah,
Except
they put the Marines in. The
cooler.
Marines just beat the shit out of everybody.
Went in with 1911s and incendiary grenades and retook Alcatraz in like 45 minutes.
Dude, awesome. Like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Are there people in New York State correctional facilities that can turn their life around? Did they make a mistake? Should you rehabilitate people? Yes. Yes, you should. Should you also be able to beat the shit out of somebody that throws a piss and shit soaked item it's called a hand grenade. I forget what it's in. I think it's in like a plastic bag or maybe like a Pepsi plastic bottle. But they put piss and shit in it, shake it up, and they like let it ferment, and then they throw it like through the doors at the corrections officers. Then it explodes, and they've got piss and moldy shit all over them that stinks because it's been fermenting and getting more pressure in it.
Yeah.
That guy should get stomped. Yes. Yes, that man should probably get the shit kicked out of him.
I agree.
So, I don't know. I don't want to say that we need to, beat the shit out of people till they die in hospitals like what happened a couple months ago. But
elevator rides are cool though.
There was you know what, I got a fucking cop story for you. So this is not me, this is old. This is way back in the day. So before cameras were anywhere. When black and white TV still was a thing in some households. So a while ago in the city of Buffalo, there was this guy and he had murdered a couple people. And I think he did it with a hatchet. He murdered like a family, like mom and dad, and like left a couple kids orphaned, like for no reason. He's just like a fucking psycho, and he was a neighbor and like wanted them to do something. And they were like, "Oh, we can't do that today, Jeremy." And he was like, "Cool, fuck you." He's an animal, absolute animal, mountain of a man, huge dude. When you picture like a jacked, like psychopath juggernaut guy, this was him. So he murdered like a family with a hatchet, leaving the kids orphaned. He's in the holding center. He's been arrested. He's going to trial, right? So he's like going to trial the next day, I think it is. So there's like this corrections officer, and he's like, "Hey, they call him DEPS. They're sheriff's deputy in the prisons for like the local holding center." He's like, "Hey, Dep, I got an issue in my cell." And the young, like, rookie deputy goes into the cell alone with this dude, and he fucking cold cocks him and breaks his jaw and, like, jacks this kid up. So then all the fucking Deps run in there. They drag, kid out, and big guy's, like, ready. He's like, "Yeah, this is what I want." They're ready to lump him up, and the supervisor's like, No. Close it up, put a dude on his cell, make sure he doesn't leave, make sure nobody fucking touches him. Because he knows what this guy's trying to do is he's trying to gain sympathy. He intentionally did this to this corrections officer, or to the DEP, because he wanted to get fucked up before he went to trial. So then when he goes in the courtroom, the judge can go, "Oh, he's black and blue and missing teeth and his nose is broken. Oh my, he's got a fractured collarbone. What did they do to you in there, sir?" He wanted the sympathy vote, right? To try and get him out of, some jail time.
Right. Yeah.
So they send him, he doesn't get touched at all. They send him to court. And at the time, and I believe there still is, an underground like tunnel where they would take like high profile people so they wouldn't have to cross them, have them cross the street, lock them up, get them outside, cross the street, go into the courthouse. They had a little underground tunnel to get, all the felons and shit up there for court, without having him interact with the public and create a potential escape, right? So they take him to court. He gets arraigned. He's found guilty or whatever, right? So they bring him back. And before you exit the underground tunnel into the sheriff's holding center, there is a little room. And on the way back, they say, "Stop there, big fella." And they open up the door, and there are some country-fed, thick boy Deps in that room. And they push him in there. And that supervisor looks at the Deps that are in there that are about to do God's work and says, as long as, like, "I just don't want or what do you say? I just don't want the coroner." He's like, "I just don't want to call the coroner." And then closes the door. Now, I don't know exactly what happened, but I can tell you that word spread quick around that area to not be jacking around with the deputies because things can happen.
Have you seen the picture? I don't know that this is 100% true. I didn't look into it, but there's a picture getting circulated on X right now. Again, I don't know that this story is accurate, but the
I know.
caption getting shared with the story is there is a German police officer that has a
Knife in his
other
back.
German man on his back handcuffing him,
Yeah.
and another person stabbing the police officer in the neck.
Yeah.
And the
that's real.
story along with it was that the man getting arrested had subdued the man with the knife because he was trying to stab people, and the cops showed up and arrested the guy that was stopping the guy with the knife. And while the cops were arresting him, he stabbed one of the cops in the neck and then killed them.
Yes.
It's like, what is happening?
I've seen the video.
I don't understand.
It's like 2 years old, I want to say.
What? I don't get it.
It's
I live in a
because
clown world.
listen, man, that's for a you and me conversation, you know, because there's like world beliefs of what I think's happening in there, and like political beliefs that go in there, and then like some history. There's a little bit of history that goes on in there, like the Polish King Stanislaus, I believe, had an issue with the Ottoman Empire at one point, and then decided, you know what, I'm gonna fix this real quick. And I think that's just history repeating itself.
So I gotta get off here. I gotta go record a video on Little Caesars. But before I do, I need to
Fat
know
files,
if
I
I'm-
assume.
Yes, but I need to know if I'm reaching too far. So I sent you a picture. I need you to look at it real quick,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna tell you a little story along with it, and I want to see if your brain goes to where my brain went.
All right. First of all, it looks like a penis, but go on.
Okay. Now that we've got that settled,
Is that one of the things you want to ask me?
no, I'm just gonna tell you a story, and you tell me where your brain goes as I tell you. The founder of Little Caesars
Yeah.
was a Marine for 4 years.
Why is it Taco Bell, Little Caesars?
Gets back home, plays pro baseball,
Oh,
blows his knee out, has to retire early, and decides, he's working as like a door-to-door salesman. He's being a handyman, just doing whatever he can do to get by. And then he ends up saving up 10 grand, and him and his wife want to open up this pizza place. And he says that we should name it Pizza Treat. And his wife is like, no. Now, I should also classify this with
pizza treat.
his wife is about 5'4" and he's 5'10". So he's quite a bit taller than his wife.
Yeah.
Also average height. The wife is like, no, we're not going to name it Pizza Treat. I want to name it Little Caesars because that's my pet name for you. So they named it Little Caesars.
Well,
A
I know what
guy
his Little Caesar is.
famous for getting stabbed, and the mascot kind of looks like a penis.
Well, yeah, but Little Caesar got stabbed. His Little Caesar's doing the stabbing.
I know.
Maybe we
But
should call.
still.
Is he Italian?
I think so.
I mean, that makes sense. You know.
I'm just saying. I
he's
think Little
Caesar.
Caesars might be the most elaborate dick joke of all time.
Your storytelling sells it more than the actual thing. I think less is more in that one. I think if you're like, look at the mascot. She called her husband Little Caesar.
No, honey. My 5'10" average height husband that's 6 inches taller than me. Your pet name is Little Caesar.
Now his dick name is definitely Little Caesar. So, you know, I think you're right. I think that, you know what, now that I've pondered it, I think it's a solid joke. I think that it is absolutely. He's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to name my business after my dick. What guy wouldn't?
Hilarious.
Like Amazon,
What?
the longest river in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
Okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Delta? What's the phonetic alphabet? That's the D. Airplanes. Long and cylindrical. Delta. What was the... Was it FedEx? Didn't you do a video on... Or maybe we just had a conversation on the CEO of a company, and he went to Vegas in order to get enough gas money. Like he gambled 40 grand in order to make 120 for gas for his planes, so then he could keep his business afloat for like one more day because there was like something going on with
I don't think that was me, but I think that was UPS.
UPS. It might have been UPS.
Yeah, I think it was UPS. No, like the other phallic marketing one that's like pretty famous is Sunny D. If you look at the Sunny D logo, it's a capital S and a capital D at the end. The capital S is the balls with the skinny letters in between, and then a capital D. Looks like a dick.
That's not bad. That's not bad. You know what? I need to look up Sunny D now.
Look at this. Look up Sunny D phallic. Just Google images that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't need to look up phallic. I just looked up Sunny D, and the one of them looks looks like a dick. That's funny. What else is dick like? I'm sure if we actually sat down and thought about it.
I took a marketing class in college, and there was a whole day we spent just talking about all the different like phallic and genital related things that have popped up in marketing over the years.
Dude, chat. Bohica says, Little Caesar did stab his spear into a pie. So, all those commercials, he's stabbing his spear into a pie? Just saying.
Well, the other part, one of the famous commercials when they had so Little Caesars in the 1990s started what's called the Pizza Wars by basically coming out.
Pizza Hut, wasn't it?
Domino's, Pizza Hut, and Little Caesars, and they were in competition to see who could make the biggest pizza to sell. And the Little Caesars ad, Little Caesar always pulled out a tape measure in his, so I'm gonna incorporate that little bit.
That's funny. That makes it better. That definitely is gonna sell the joke. I like it.
It's gonna be good.
It is gonna be good. Everything you do on Fat Files is pretty good.
Should work out, but all right, man. I'm gonna hop off here. I'm gonna go record that. Probably gonna pee first.
All right, brother. Take care.
And I'll see you next time we film Kind of Consensual.
That's right. Our new and fantastic podcast with the boys. Only on Pepperbox. And it has to be only on Pepperbox because of the stories that I tell.
Because it's aggressive.
It is in your face. It is not for the faint of heart.
Even some of the things we're putting on the Clips channel, I was like, oof, maybe we shouldn't have put that on the Clips channel.
I'm surprised they're not on there more. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
You go pretty hard.
I go, well, because it's a paywall. It's protected by a paywall. Who's gonna go spend a couple bucks to like get me? Oh, I got another story. I'll tell you. It'll be on Kind of Consensual. Investigative Post did a story on me. Real investigative.
God, you're so popular.
They're so stupid. It's like all shit you can Google. There's like no work in their journalism whatsoever. Oh, Average Joe says Bill Gates. Microsoft.
This is true.
Huh? Loves the vaccines, and that's just a little prick.
Especially the mosquito thing.
Hey.
All
right,
man,
brother. I'll let you live your life. I'll see you. Thanks for coming in. Oh, now I got to switch over to mine. Straight on. Boom. All right. Long John Silver's hysterical. It's always a good time whenever Nicholas comes on, speaks to people, talks about all the stuff. Hey, Andre. All the Disney flicks with dicks. Yes, we know. We know. We all know. The SpaceX logo? The SpaceX logo is not phallic at all. Bam. Oh, off center. What's happening? There we go. Yeah, SpaceX isn't phallic at all. How do I feel about bringing back the electrical chair? Awesome. Do it. It's fantastic. Why wouldn't I like it? You know what's funny is I watched a it was some sort of piece on how like the United States and another country that are first world like still do executions when it comes to corporal, not corporal. Oh my God, what's the punishment? Not corporal. Oh shit, what's the word? Come on, chat, help me out. It's something punishment when they take your life, right? Capital. Thank you, weapons. You're the first. Capital punishment. All right. So it's like the United States and some other country are the only two first world countries that do it. There's other countries that do it, but their whole spiel on this one video that I was watching, everybody's like, capital punishment, you idiot. Yeah, I know. I got it. So their whole spiel was like, America and this other country are the only first world countries that do capital punishment. And I'm like, all right, well, what about the second world countries? What about the third world countries? They got to do something, right? It can't be that just America and one other country in the world are like capital punishment. Yeah, we're going to do that thing. No, there's a ton of other countries that do it. What a bunch of bullshit. But anywho, I'm for it. Listen, just there's sometimes you just forfeit your right to live. Like, how many people would have been like, oh, Hitler started a revolution and it got a bunch of people killed before he actually rose all the way to power and became, the German, I think, chancellor, and then became his position. I forget what his actual position was. He was like chancellor and then something else and something else. He had like 3 or 4 titles, and then he like made himself the high chancellor of Germany. Like, what if during the beer house revolution that he threw, like, what if they were like, oh, you killed a couple people, you got a couple people killed, we're going to kill you now. Well, freaking da. World War II doesn't happen. By the way, speaking of like countries that bounce back from world wars, Germany, right? World War I, they start bouncing back because, Hitler starts building back a whole bunch of stuff. And then they're like, yeah, screw it. Yeah, you know what? Fuck the rest of Europe. We're going to do our own thing and we're going to think about us because this is bullshit. We're getting punished for the war that we got involved in. Well, everybody got involved in that one. Fuck it. And then after World War II, they were like, all right, we're screwed. And half the country was in communism. The other half was assisted this time by Europe to be like, okay, maybe we help you grow back this time after losing millions of people, even though that's your fault, 100% on you. And Germany's like, yeah, mine bad. Maybe we help you come back and we all be friends after this, right? It's like when you fight your friend, then you like, after you dust each other off, you go, okay, cool. Or I shouldn't even say your friend, like the school bully, right? Like you fight the bully and then you're like, after you bust each other up pretty good, you go, hey, all right, I guess, we can see past our differences now. And then they're like, Mercedes, BMW, all these, those were also made during World War II. Anyway, Japan came back hard too. Took them a little while, but they came back hard. Oh, that's right. Germany did have an election today. I forget who won. It looked like 2/3 of all the districts in Germany that voted for the one party. I forget. CDU won. I don't know who the CDU is. Yes, that one party. They made a comeback. AFD came in second. Dude, you're acting like I know what these parties are. I don't know. Rainbow Mall and Pilot Field. Can you save them? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think Rainbow Mall can be saved. You were stationed in Germany for a bit at Rose Barracks. Nice country, but the vibe is a little strange. I mean, Germans are their own people, man. Like they're their own thing. The British make fun of them. The French make fun of them. Not like they're dumb or stupid, but they're very by the rules. Like, there's a story that I saw the other day where it's like, I think it was like an American was in Germany, or it was like somebody from the UK was in Germany, and they go to fill up their gas tanks. And so they fill up the tank and then they go inside and then pay for it. And the person with the German cat is like, wait a second, you could just fill up your tank. The gas is always on. You could just immediately, once you pull the hose and click the button, like you're good to go. He's like, yeah. And he's like, well, what happens if somebody just like fills up their tank and then leaves and doesn't pay? And the German's like, oh, well, that's illegal. You can't do that. And the American or UK guy is like, no, I know that's illegal, but what if somebody does that? And the German's like, yes, but that's illegal. You can't do that. And there's like this butting of heads of like one person saying, yes, there are bad people out there that will take advantage of this business. And the German saying, yeah, but who would take advantage of the business? I don't understand. Nobody would do that. It's illegal. You can't do that. Why would you take advantage of the business? That's the bad thing. And like, it's a very German way of thinking. They're very by the book. They're not a lot of comedians come out of Germany. So I'm told in Europe. Oh, man. All right. Well, we've been doing this for an hour and a half. Listen, I'm going to be straight up with you. The last one got taken down. I forget. It was like copyright struck and a whole bunch of other shit for bullshit. I'm going to try and be on here a little more often, back to the once a week thing. Glad that you could join me today. It's been fun. I had a good time with Fat Electrician. I'm going to start bringing on some more guests. Maybe JD Vance. Zach, veteran with the sign again. He's always a good bro to bring on, and a couple other new people that I'm talking to. What I really want to do is I want to bring Sean back on from Actual Justice Warrior and talk about some of the Innocence Project's people that got let loose. I know on our last one, and feel free to watch that. That was super interesting. Sean talked the majority about it, and rightfully so, about I believe it was like the guy that was on the Joe Rogan Experience with the Innocence Project like founder, and the founder's like, this is my brother, I love him. He was wrongfully charged with murder. He didn't do it. And then within months of him being released, and like a couple weeks after that recording of Joe Rogan, he went and chopped up a body and put it in a briefcase and was like taking it down the stairs. Incredible. So there's been a couple other things that have been going on where it's the Innocence Project. This seems to be like an ongoing theme with the Innocence Project, where somebody will be convicted of murder or homicide, taking somebody's life in one form or fashion. And then the Innocence Project will come in and say that they're innocent. Surprise. And what gets overturned often is the testimony of a co-conspirator or witness, right? And what I mean by that is this seems to be the playbook for a lot of these overturning of guilty verdicts and release of these people that didn't do it, although I think they did, is they'll go to a witness or they'll go to somebody that might have been a co-conspirator, like in the murder. Let's say that Nick and I commit a murder. Nick drives the getaway car. I'm the shooter. And one of the few witnesses to this is Nick. And Nick says, hey, the DA office says, hey, Nick, we'll give you a lighter sentence if you tell us the truth of what happened and you testify against Rich. And Nick goes, all right, cool. I might have driven it and the plan might have been to kill this guy, but Rich actually pulled the trigger and killed him. All right, I'll do that. And so Nick will get a smaller sentence. I'll get stuck with life because now my co-conspirator flips on me. Well, what they do is they get the co-conspirator to be like, yeah, you know what? Actually, he didn't do that. I did it. And it's after the guilty verdict. So who gives a fuck, right? They're not going to charge him anymore. It was already done found. So they'll be like, yeah, he didn't do it. I did it. Or they'll say, he didn't do it. This other guy did it. And that other guy's now dead. He was actually shot like a short while later, and that was a revenge killing. So actually, not only did you get the wrong guy, but the guy responsible is dead. So now there's nobody to be responsible because the guy that actually did it a while ago that I lied about, is dead now. So that happens to be like an ongoing, reoccurring strategy for for the Innocence Project. No, Pete Hegseth will never come on my live. He's way too important, and this live is meant to be fun, interesting, and also I don't give a shit what goes on it. Like, I want to talk about some shit that I want to talk about, and because of that, that means only a handful of you are going to enjoy it. This is not going to be, a show for the masses. People will not enjoy it, right? This isn't the office of live streaming, okay? I say some uncomfortable things here. This is like Arrested Development for streaming. A small amount of people really like it, and then the rest of the people don't really get it. It goes over their heads, or it's offensive, or they don't like it because they don't understand it. That's what this is. We are the Arrested Development of live streaming. So there you go. I'm glad you enjoyed this one. All right. On that note, you know what also who I want to get on is Good Logic. I want to get him back on. I sent him a text the other day. I got to send him one again. Glad to see you, Andre. Glad you could check in. Yeah, Rob Ray getting a puck to the face is going viral. You know what's funny is, like, people who don't know hockey that are just getting into it, which is great. They saw the Four Nations thing. They're like, wow, hockey's great. A really good game of hockey. Like, yeah, that's super entertaining. Back and forth, flying, checks, fights. Like, yes, that is hockey. It's awesome. It's contained violence in a sport. It's great. But for everybody that's, kind of getting into hockey because of that, and now because Rob Ray at a Sabres game, and the Sabres were winning 4-0 at the time. Awesome. Rob Ray, an old Sabre, used to be on the Sabres, now announcer in the announcing box on the ice, got hit with the puck, right? They tried to clear the puck out of their zone. The opposing team went against the boards, smacked him right in the eye, and he goes, oh, fuck! And it's going viral because he got hit in the face with the puck, which sucks, right? And he's got this big, he's getting a goose egg, and it's getting all swollen. People are like, wow, even the announcers are tough. And, Rob Ray just took one in the face, and an announcer said, oh, fuck. And people don't know, Rob Ray was an enforcer in the NHL for the Buffalo Sabres for well over a decade, for a long time. Rob Ray was our enforcer. He only had a handful of goals. Rob Ray was pretty good at defense, right? But his main job, Rob Ray's main job for over a decade in the Buffalo Sabres hockey organization was to go after the guy that's being too rough to our team and then fucking fight him. And Rob Ray got in so many fights, especially him and Ty Domi with the Leaves, which is I loved. Rob Ray got in so many fights that he would intentionally not latch and connect his pads underneath his jersey. So then when people would grab the jersey to like fight you, Rob Ray's jersey would literally he would slip out of his jersey so that he'd be shirtless on the ice. And the guy that he's fighting would have nothing to grab onto. And then Rob Ray would just fucking grab onto that dude on his jersey and just beat the living shit out of him. And so they had to create the Rob Ray rule, which is you cannot have your pads or jersey intentionally break away in a fight. They have to be strapped on appropriately. That's it. Because he was getting an advantage because his job was to go beat the shit out of somebody that was fucking with the team. Rob Ray is an angel of death. He's an absolute legend in the city of Buffalo. He's a legend in hockey, period. And I hope that people, after seeing that video of Rob Ray eat the puck to the face, look up his hockey highlights, which are mainly fights, and just watch him beat the shit out of people and eat punches to the face for the Buffalo Sabres and at the end the Ottawa Senators, because he is Canadian and he wanted to play for his home team for when he retired. So amazing. Rob Ray is a national treasure for both America and Canada. Oh, Brodeur, the trapezoid rule? I got to look that one up. Artan Brodeur had the trapezoid rule. Is that what he would just like lay sideways? Play the video where Rob Ray beats up the fan? Oh, fuck it. I will. So good. Oh, Razor. Rob Ray fights fan. I think it was in Boston. The long story short, on YouTube, 1992 Rob Ray incident with the fan in Quebec Nordiques. It was the Nordiques. Basically, what happened, and this is 3 minutes, so I'll probably let Rob say it. This dude was talking a bunch of shit, and then I think dumped a beer or threw a shoe, and Rob Ray said, "Well, that's enough." God, I love hockey. Let's go to.
He was initially thrown to the ice. The TV cameras didn't catch that. What they caught is when he got up and he headed back to the bench for more, and you saw him getting what was coming to him. I mean, the fan has no more business being on the ice or near the bench than a player would have scaling the glass to take after a fan. Here's another look in case you missed it on Tuesday.
Television cameras first caught the incident when several Sabres, but notably Rob Ray, severely beat a fan who had run onto the ice.
Severely.
Ray said that the fan was provoking him.
Well, we seen him up on the glass there, and he was sort of sitting there, and we weren't sure what he was going to do or anything like that. So we just sort of worked our way down, and, you know, and all of a sudden he just dove in. And, you know, you never know what the guy's going to do, so we just sort of... you know, first thing we just sort of pushed him back out on the ice, and then as soon as he jumped off the ice again, he came jumping back into the bench again. We go, whoa, you know, because you know, you never know what's going to happen with a guy like that. So we just sort of grabbed on him, we started putting it to him pretty good, and then just threw him back out on the ice again.
Do you regret your part in it?
No, I don't think so, because you know, I didn't want to give the guy the chance to do anything. You know, it was my job, you know, when something like that, it's my job on the ice. So same thing on the bench. I was moving down there to try to protect the guys, and you know, just took charge and did what we had to do and got rid of them.
Love it.
Punishment for the fan.
Love it. Just look at him dotting them. Just pop, pop, pop. Not a lot of power, right? It's just arm strikes, just doing it. And the cop's like, fuck, fuck.
Players are always reminded they must not get involved with fans. So I really can't give you any more than that at this point. I don't know.
And he won't, because Rob Ray was right.
And was responsible for whatever did take place, or our players.
Obviously, an incident as unusual as this is
Love
a
it.
big topic of conversation
Love it.
at league practices.
I've been yelled at, I guess, a few times just because of the style of my game and stuff. But
Mike, was it Mike Milbury beat a fan with his own shoe? That's what it was.
you know, both players.
Dude, hockey is an amazing sport. And being like from Buffalo, I've grown up with hockey. Like, I never played it. I was small, and I'm not good on ice, man. I can walk it. I can't skate. Save my life. So, but I was, man, ever since I was like 5, even I think it's one of my earlier memories of like watching sports with my father and my grandfather was Sabres games. I would fall asleep watching Sabres games in my grandfather's living room on the floor while my parents would, you know, like clean up dinner or whatever and then take me to bed. I love hockey. Now, unfortunately for me, being a Sabres fan, the past 10 years has been miserable. You know, I went 15 years. I think it was longer. It might have been 17 with the Buffalo Bills not going to a playoff game, right? Not making the playoffs. And we broke that drought with Tyrod Taylor. And then like the year or two later, we got, I think it was the following year, we got Josh Allen. And now we're making the playoffs every year. And we're making runs for the AFC Championship every year, which is phenomenal, right? Now at the time, there was only 16. Now there's 17 games in a season. So 10 years ago, I had to make a choice because the Sabres weren't doing too hot. And there's 70-something games in a hockey season. And I had to make the choice. I was like, okay, I can either waste one weekend or I can waste 4 hours on one day a week for 17 weeks on the Bills because they were not doing well. Or I can waste hours multiple times a week on the Sabres for their games, 72 times, right, over the course of the season, and watch them not make the playoffs. And I was like, all right, I'm more involved in football. I play Madden I play Madden. I like the squares and gambling on football more, especially when it comes to fantasy football. I love fantasy football. I was like, all right, I'm going to be a Bills fan. I'm always going to be a Sabres fan, but I'm going to focus on the Bills for now because I can't watch the Sabres not make the playoffs anymore. I don't have the time to waste to watch the Sabres lose more than half of their 70 plus games a year and not make the playoffs. I can't watch it. They went on a drought one time. It was like 14 losses in a row. Like, dude, who wants to watch that? Like, they're supposed to represent your city. You want your city to feel like a bunch of losers. And the rough part is the Sabres were supposed to get. So I'm giving you a whole bunch of history in my city, but I love it. The Sabres were supposed to move. So Tom Golisano was a local businessman in Buffalo, and the Pegulas sacrificed the Sabres for the Bills. Now, you don't know what you're talking about. I completely disagree. Tom Pegula came in and cried when he got to buy the Sabres, which was the first team he bought. He bought the Bills 2 years later, if I'm not mistaken. And he cried when he bought the Sabres because he's such a hockey fan. And he wanted to make Buffalo Hockey Town, USA, which he's done a lot of building and stuff like that to try and make hockey more of an all year round event, and bringing like different like groups like the World Junior Hockey thing to Buffalo. But the team's just not doing well, and I think it's like a mix of GM and coaching. And this year they brought back Lindy Ruff. But anywho, oh man, I lost my train of thought about what I was talking about before. Oh yeah, basically the Golisano. So in the early 2000s, this local businessman and a couple other people formed like I think like an LLC and bought the Buffalo Sabres because they were going under. The team was for sale. I forget what happened to the owner, but the team was going to move. They're like, hey, we don't have a buyer for the Buffalo Sabres, and we need to find one now. Otherwise, we're going to lose a hockey team. And we used to have the Buffalo Braves, which is an awesome throwback basketball uniform in the NBA, but they moved. I forget where they went. I think they became the Spurs eventually, like jumped around to 2 other cities, and now they ended with the Spurs. But anyway, so Golisano and these people were like, all right, we don't want that to happen again. Let's pool our money. We'll buy the team so that way it doesn't move. But we're not here to spend money on the team and make it grow. We're here just literally to break even, keep the cash flow going so that we can keep the team here and make a little bit of money on our investment, but nothing crazy. And I don't know how much money they made. I hope it was a lot. Pretty sure it was a pretty good amount from the Pegulas paid for it. But basically what happened is the Sabres were selling all of we were like the farm team for the NHL. We had some good guys that stayed around for a while, but we were getting rid of good players like crazy because we didn't have the cap money, and we were trading them for money. So then we'd be like, oh, hey, you want Drury, you want Brodeur, you want Drew, who's Drury was the one we went to the cup against Carolina and lost. Drury and, oh my God, I forget the guy's name. Either way, we were getting rid of good players for cap space and to make money and to keep like our rosters cheap. And we were getting into the playoffs. And like I said, we went all the way to the Stanley Cup in 2006 because I was in Iraq. I was in Iraq staying up till like 4 a.m. and then going on a mission at 6 a.m. to watch the Sabres lose the Stanley Cup. And then we get Pegula, who's like all about the Sabres and let's make it a fun time and blah, blah, blah. And we can't fucking string together wins. I don't know if I know his heart's in it, but I don't know. I think it's one of those things where maybe his heart's too in it and he loves it so much that he has trouble making business decisions. And let me tell you, like up until recently, like the previous GM, I was screaming to like, dude, let him go. Like, I'm not going to I can't invest any of my time in this unless that GM goes and we get like a legitimate coach in here. Like, I don't know who we're thinking. Get a good fucking coach. Well, we got Lindy Ruff back, so see what happens. Hasek was amazing. Hasek stood on his head. It's incredible when Buffalo Sabres. When I said that the Buffalo Sabres are like the farm team for the NHL, I say that because the amount of Buffalo Sabres starters that have done well, right, are like line 1, line 2 guys. The amount of them that have done really well for Buffalo and then we get rid of them that go on to win Stanley Cups like the following year or like 2 years after they were traded, you know, not the first, but the second year, is astounding. Hasek to Detroit right away, winning cups. Dominic Hasek was so good, he would literally tell our defensemen, don't worry about dropping back and trying to stop the breakaways. Get all 5 guys in the opponent's zone, and I want you to score a goal. And if they break it, I'll stop it. I don't care. And he would stand on his fucking head and have breakaway after breakaway after breakaway and stop dudes. Dominic Hasek highlights for the Sabres are insane. He'll skate out to like almost the blue line and poke check, slide, fucking almost like, what do you call it? Like slide tackling in soccer. Got the puck away from dudes to stop a breakaway because he's like, I don't care. Our offense is horrible. Our defense isn't that much better. I'm the only thing stopping the puck from going in. Go. Yeah, Jack Eichel's a perfect example of that too. Dominic Hasek was like the first example that I could think of like those old days of getting rid of guys. Man, who was our redheaded defenseman that had like the Spinneroonie goal? It's like Campbell. I think it was Campbell. He's a redhead. Went down to like Tampa Bay or someplace and won the cup like the next year or the following year. Drury with Philadelphia, or Briere with Philadelphia, I think won the cup the next like year or two, or was like really well. Because Drury and Briere were our 2 like co-captains the year that we went to the cup. And then immediately we got rid of them because, you know, cap space. So yeah, I love the Buffalo Sabres. I love the history of the Buffalo Sabres. I have had the ups and downs with the Buffalo Sabres. But like 10 years ago, I had to choose. And then the Sabres went away. And I've still gone to games for the Sabres. I just haven't kept up with them. Like, I haven't kicked them out of my life. I still love the Sabres. I still support them. I still go to games every now and again. But I don't sit down and watch them on the television at all. Like, rarely do I do that. I'll go to the games. I'll support the team that way. They're still in my heart, but they fucking break my heart every year. My mouth identifies as a hockey player because you chirp a lot. Ted Nolan is giggling with Ruff. Ted Nolan. That was weird. Sabres. Yes, the Buffalo Sabres. I like it. The Sabres are cool, and I like our old jerseys. Like, hey, what's your team? Oh, we're the Swords. We're Swords. You're the Buffalo Swords? Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah. We're fucking Swords. Hoopa? Did he go to Florida and win the cup right away? Short on teeth, long on cursing. Yeah, there you go, bud. All right. That's enough about my history, my love affair with the Buffalo Sabres, my love affair with my love of hockey. Oh, Pat LaFontaine's broken jaw helmet. Dude, Pat LaFontaine, stud. Him and Briere looked like they just never saw the sun. The whitest, sickliest looking guys I've ever seen, but just goal scorers, insanely talented, but chalky, pasty white like a glass of milk, like sickly white. Like they have no pigment. All right. On that note, I'll see you next week, weirdos. It's Sunday, I know. So could it be, I don't know, the end of this week? I don't know. Maybe it is. Could it be next week? I don't know. Maybe it is. But it's going to be soon. It'll be next week. By the way, since you're here watching the streams, the crack house is almost done. When I say almost done, I mean the cabinets are in. One more appointment for the electrician to come in. Then it's a deep clean. I've already got furniture moved in. Airbnb, here we go. Fa la 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 LaFontaine. Blaze. Dude, you're a fucking Sabres fan. You gotta be a fan. Clint Malarchuk. Oh! Didn't he get Malarchuk? He was the one that got his throat sliced, wasn't he? I'm not streaming over HLC. I don't know what day he does it. You can choose between us. Fucking weirdos. All right, gang. See you next time. Weirdos.